is to provide you with the finest, most current, and sophisticated treatment available. Call them today for a free consultation at 954-771-8772.
Lewert Law Offices is proud to be the family law expert on the Ask the Expert show. Attorney Tina Lewert is a board-certified specialist in marital and family law. Attorney Lewert is committed to obtaining the best resolution for your divorce or other family law case by consistently providing skilled representation, expert legal advice, and personal attention. Attorney Lewert has developed an excellent reputation for providing effective divorce and family law representation in Boca Raton and the surrounding communities. Lewert Law Offices offers legal advice and representation in a wide range of family law matters, including divorce, child custody, time sharing and visitation, child support, alimony, complex asset distribution, post-judgment modifications, and paternity actions. For expert representation in all aspects of divorce and family law, contact Attorney Tina Lewert today at 561-544-6861 or visit www.lewertlaw.com.
And we're back. If you've just tuned in, this is the Ask the Expert show. I'm co-host Steve-O with my beautiful co-host, Renee.
What's happening?
How you doing?
I'm good.
Well, I love that last show we did because I've got sleep apnea. This is one show I hope I don't ever have to come to. Our expert attorney.
Yes, a family attorney, which everybody I know has gone to one. But this is the expert.
Yes, listen, you know what? There's probably thousands of family attorneys in Broward and Palm Beach.
And you definitely do not want to pick one out of the phone book. or Google. Right.
You want to make sure.
I just showed my age. I said the phone book.
What's that?
Exactly.
Just kidding.
You want a full page or a half page? Anyway, we can say, well, actually she can too, because you can say that you were an expert in family law.
Correct.
You've got the certifications that you can legally say that. But from our end, we found the top. But you know what? Sometimes I think people think, oh, they're going to be the most expensive. And that's not the case.
No, that's not the case.
No.
So we have attorney Tina Lewert with us. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
She's our resident family law attorney.
Have I become a resident?
Oh, my God. You've got a fan club out there.
Oh, nice.
So tell everybody about your practice.
What a bunch of sickos. No. I practice family law, which is a nice way of saying, I always tell people I'm board certified in marital and family law, which is a very polite way of saying I'm a divorce attorney.
Yes.
And yes, board certification means that I can say I'm an expert in that field of practice.
And
I'm
that's all divorce attorneys are.
Correct.
Okay.
Actually, in Florida right now, there are only, I always say, approximately 300 of us. I think it's just under 300 of us. Out of 100,000 attorneys, there are 300 or fewer that are board certified in this area of practice in family law. So yeah, it's actually kind of a rarity, and it's
I want to tell you why
not an
this
easy
is
thing to
important.
find.
Because I have spoken to other women over the last 10, 15 years, and they go, God, did I get screwed?
Hello. Talk to me.
Well, I don't know why I didn't do other avenues. My attorney did not know what they were doing. And, there's a lot of attorneys out there that cover criminal law, family law. But
never use one of those. I'm sorry to say, because I did. You want somebody that their primary focus is family law.
Yeah, to be honest, in my just experience and observation, I see it all the time, and I have clients that'll call and they'll say, I have somebody, but I'm just, I feel like they don't quite know what they're doing, and there's some really, complex issues and intricate issues, and I don't know if I'm getting the best representation, and I don't ever, badmouth another
right, and I don't want to
attorney.
Any attorneys.
But I always say, well, who is it? And they'll give me a name, and I've never heard of the person, and then I find out that they practice what we call, door law, which is anything that walks in the door.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And for family law, I mean, you're dealing with serious issues,
Emotions and
issues and problems that affect your life, your children,
Yes.
where you're going to live, how much money you're going to have to live on. I mean, major things that are key to one's life and everyday existence. So you want someone that knows what they're doing. And I find that it really is best to find somebody who, even honestly, even if they're not board certified, if they're not an expert, that really just
primary focus
only
is
practices family
yes.
law.
Because, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, I'm just saying that I happen to have gone to somebody that was a boutique law firm, like you said, anything that walked in the door. And I should have gone to somebody that they just focused on family law.
Yeah.
You know,
That's best.
I know, not me, but I know a friend of mine who
Yeah, French, sure.
reads TMZ.
It's him, Tina.
But you see these
Tina magazine.
that make a lot of money, and then they file for divorce, and all of a sudden, this great bond goes to enemies. And they're cutting off their credit cards.
Right,
and
there's no longer a friendship. So tell everybody the process.
can't get into the house anymore.
Well, you're actually not allowed to change the locks. I found that out.
Without a court order, right.
Oh, that, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what's the process of filing for divorce in the state of Florida?
Basically, when one party or the other decides that they're ready to file, and that's usually what it comes down to, they decide they're ready to initiate the process, they would file what we call a petition for dissolution of marriage. We call it dissolution of marriage in Florida. And the petition gets served to the other party. That person has 20 days to respond. Usually within that time, they're going to find their own lawyer, and they might file and counter petitions that both parties have pending petitions. They're both asking for relief. And the pleadings, the petitions and counter petition are basically, they're very general. So they're going to generally state to the court and the other party what the issues are in the case, that there may be minor children, there may be assets and liabilities to divide, there may be a request for alimony. So they just state what the issues are, not necessarily specifics of what they want. And then once the pleading stage is complete and everybody's responded to all the pleadings, we're gathering financial disclosure, exchanging documents, tax returns, bank statements, credit card statements, exchanging all those documents. And usually, unless there's some other pressing issue, typically you'll exchange documents and set a mediation and try to resolve the case at mediation. Sometimes there might be, questions about the documents that were produced. There might be additional discovery necessary. One attorney or both might want to take depositions of the other party to ask questions about the documents, and so that everyone can come to the mediation educated and prepared to settle. But generally that's the process. And, mediation, if mediation fails, and there can be a first mediation, a second, a third, the alternative is to go to trial and have the judge make those decisions.
Okay, so my important question, I think I ask you every time that you're here, is there such thing as a legal separation?
Not in Florida.
Right.
Not in Florida. Yeah. So basically, if you're not living together, you're separated, and that's what we call.
And does
that.
the other party have to move out of the house? Because people ask that all the time when you're going through and you're serving the other person. Because it's so uncomfortable living with somebody when you serve them papers that you want a divorce. Do they have to leave the house?
They don't have to. Again, without.
So
a
how do you
court
get them
order.
out?
That's a common question. I get that question a lot. And sometimes I have people call me and they say, my husband or wife says I have to leave, and
you can't change the locks.
And you can't change the locks
You can't tell
without a
them
court
experience
order.
that.
So the two ways, this is generally, the two ways to get someone out, as you said, would be either if there's a domestic violence situation, you file a restraining order, also known as an injunction for protection against domestic violence.
Aside from that, you can't. Though.
Aside from that, the other way to do it is during the case, and in Florida, in a lot of counties in Florida, there's a requirement to go to mediation before you can do this. So you have to kind of go through a little bit of the process. You can file a motion, we call it a motion for temporary exclusive use and possession of the marital home. And
but that doesn't happen right away.
it doesn't happen right away. And especially not, for example, if you're in Palm Beach County, there's a requirement, an administrative order that's a requirement in all cases that you have to attend mediation before you can go to a hearing like that or get a hearing like that set before the judge. So you're into the case a bit before you can even say, hey, listen, I want to go before the judge and tell the judge how horrible it is in the house, and we're quarreling and fighting, and it's affecting the children, and one of us needs to leave, and I want exclusive use of the home. But anyway, so and if you get that order, by the way, then you can change the locks.
Oh, okay.
Or the restraining order, yeah.
We had an email. They wanted me to ask Tina a question. Is there common law in Florida?
No.
I bet this person lives with somebody and's getting ready to take a walk.
No, yeah, and I get that question a lot too, because it's very common that people live together for sometimes many years. and either don't get married or before they get married. And so, but no, there's no common law
So you're
marriage in
entitled
Florida.
to nothing.
Basically.
I went to
just
one of those boutique lawyers. They said I'm entitled to anything.
He's trying to find out if something happens to me. Believe me,
This was.
I already know the deal. I'm sorry.
How long does it take to get a divorce?
It can be anywhere from, I mean, in the most uncontested, amicable, cases where the parties are like super best friends, as little as 20 days to
That quick, wow.
years. I mean, I've seen cases go on for years. I've seen cases that were, I've seen it all. As you
Why
can
would it
imagine,
go
but
on for so many years, though?
a variety of reasons. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes it goes on because one party or the other causes delay, won't provide documents, won't submit to discovery. Sometimes it's an attorney who's, representing one of the parties who just, files things that to drag it out. I mean, I hate to say it and I hate to insult my own profession, but we all know there are attorneys like that. And
They drag it out.
They drag it
for
out.
financial purposes.
And it happens. And so, sometimes those can be reasons why it would go on forever. Or, sometimes if really, I find that a lot of times it's just an obstruction of, the discovery process where you're, one party or the other is just not getting to the bottom of what they need to have all their evidence to be ready to go to trial.
Or finances, or how about with children also?
That can happen,
What's
too.
the child custody situation now in Florida? Because I know that's changed.
It has changed the last few years. The statutes changed where the legislature took out of the entire divorce chapter of the statutes the word custody. So no one has custody. Basically, you're just mother and your father, and no one's primary or secondary or custodial or non-custodial parent. You're just parents. And then from there we look at should the parties have what we call shared parental responsibility, which is the decision-making rights. There's a presumption that the parents have equal decision-making rights and are equally responsible for their children. And then the other piece of what we used to call custody, I guess, is the time-sharing schedule. So there's
Living. Yes.
where the children reside, how many overnights per year is how we look at it, and how we look at actually what we plug into the child support equation, one of the factors. And and sometimes the schedule can just be a function of everyone's work schedule. Some parents travel and some parents are stay-at-home parents, and it just may be a matter of like practicality, what they can do and what they can't do.
So for all intents and purposes now it's like 50%.
It's not, there's no presumption of 50%, but I'll say something about that in a second. It's really just open, and they did that for a reason. They really want parents to mediate and resolve this stuff, to craft a time-sharing schedule that works for your individual family. And everyone's different, and everyone's, the ages of the children too. I mean, when they're teenagers, they have their own schedule, so you're
Right.
working on their schedule.
Exactly.
So everyone's different. But regarding the 50-50 thing, there's actually a bill on the table that is possibly part of the alimony reform bill that's up for this year, and it may pass. I think a lot of people are expecting this to pass, and possibly be effective, I believe, October. And part of that, there's a presumption, they were trying to create a presumption that 50-50 is in the best interest of the children.
I agree. I do agree.
My son is here from out of town. Now, grandparents have rights, don't they?
You say that with a laugh. No, not in Florida. Not at this time.
Now, you say not in Florida. Are there states that grandparents do
I
have
believe
rights?
that there are, yeah. And I don't want to say which, because
Right.
I don't want to give you, incorrect information, but I had a case pop up where there was an agreement that was done in another state pursuant to that state's law. And, there are other states, I believe, that have grandparents' rights.
Have no rights. No custody. No.
That's why you have to be very nice to your daughter-in-law.
That's right.
No,
So there's no
I actually
problem.
love my daughter-in-law.
No, I understand that.
Well, usually the grandparents are going to see the children whenever when their son or daughter
Has the child.
children. Yeah.
Typically, that's the
Yeah.
case.
Hey, we got to go to break. When we come back, we have more with attorney Tina Lewert. We'll be right back.
Lewert Lewert Law Offices is proud to be the family law expert on the Ask the Expert show. Attorney Tina Lewert is a board-certified specialist in marital and family law. Attorney Lewert is committed to obtaining the best resolution for your divorce or other family law case by consistently providing skilled representation, expert legal advice, and personal attention. Attorney Lewert has developed an excellent reputation for providing effective divorce and family law representation in Boca Raton and the surrounding communities. Lewert Law Offices offers legal advice and representation in a wide range of family law matters, including divorce, child custody, time sharing and visitation, child support, alimony, complex asset distribution, post-judgment modifications, and paternity actions. For expert representation in all aspects of divorce and family law, contact Attorney Tina Lewert today at 561-544-6861 or visit www.lewertlaw.com.
And we're back. I'm co-host Steve O. I'm here with my co-host Renee, and we're talking about divorce.
And we're talking to family attorney Tina Lewert.
And I want to say this again, because sometimes people tune in the middle of the show. This is one thing you just do not want just any attorney. You want an expert, because I'm going to tell you something you will regret down the road. I'm telling you. And you want someone that knows the law, that's all they do. I mean, they're not trying a bankruptcy case the first thing in the morning, in the afternoon they're doing a family law and then an employment law. So Tina Lewert this is where you want to call. Give them your phone number.
Sure. The phone number is 561-544-6861.
So can I ask a question? Because people think that they're getting along and it's an amicable divorce and they feel they could use the same attorney to represent both of them. So tell everybody why you cannot do that or don't want to do that.
Do they come sometimes to your office together? To represent both?
Like once I had that happen, and they didn't realize, and I didn't realize, and I was like, no, can't do this.
It's a conflict of interest.
It really is, because even when you're amicable, even when you have like what I call an uncontested divorce, where the parties say, hey, we already worked this out, we know what we want to agree to, we just need someone to like write it up, and you still can't have the same attorney. An attorney can only represent one party, because there's still a case, there's still a lawsuit with the petition. The dissolution of marriage is a lawsuit.
Right, it's a plaintiff and defendant.
Right, you're two sides, and even when you enter into the contract, the marital settlement agreement, you are two parties, two technically adverse parties to the contract. So you do have competing interests, and there's competing advice that an attorney would give to each party respectively, and so. And
especially when it comes to finances.
And ethically, it's not something that's supposed to be
I
done.
read today, I was just thinking, this friend of mine, who reads
the National Enquirer,
No,
not TMZ. Okay.
He reads them both, too.
No, it's a baseball player. His name's Josh Hamilton. His name's, all over. Makes $125 million. He got a $125 million contract over 5 years.
I'm going to marry him and divorce him.
Right. What's his number? Yeah.
They have 3 homes. She can't get into 2 of them. They've locked her out.
How does that happen?
Is that possible?
Well,
no, these are one's in California,
I was going to say, if we're
one's in
applying
Texas.
Florida law to that situation, I could only tell you that. But, again, without what I said, the court order, unless there's like a restraining order in place or an order granting him exclusive use and possession of those homes, no, I mean, technically she can have a police officer accompany her, and she can break the glass to get in the window.
No, his problem
But
is.
you want to go back, though.
His problem is
right.
he has a drug problem. Guy who plays baseball. So she's also not allowing him to see the kids either. Does that make sense? I mean, if there's drugs involved, that something like you can keep your husband or wife from seeing the kids?
Well, you can. Let's see. How do I answer? You can try.
Okay.
I mean, the right way to do it. Yes. I mean, the guy's entitled to see his kids until or unless there's a court order in place saying not. But the problem is, until or unless there's a court order in place, what is the time sharing? Nobody knows who's entitled to what, because nothing's in writing, nothing's put in place. So yeah, I mean, if she thinks she's protecting her children and she has, she's trying to protect their best interests and their safety and well-being, and they may be in danger of, some kind of harm, especially physical harm. In that situation, I have a lot of people. This happens all the time. Unfortunately, you file a motion, and sometimes it could be if there's a danger of physical harm, you file a restraining order on behalf of the children to protect them, and the court can decide if there should be time sharing or if it should be supervised.
You can't make that decision on your own.
We have a lot
really shouldn't.
We have a lot of professionals who listen to the show. Do you write very many prenups at all?
Well, in my opinion, probably not enough.
I think that prenups are a wonderful idea. I really do.
Honestly, everyone should have a prenup. Of course, if they did,
do those hold up in court typically?
I wouldn't have as much of a job as I have. But if they're done the right way, in Florida we have a statute that actually governs prenuptial agreements and the Uniform Prenuptial Agreement Act. And there are certain prerequisites and things that have to go into the drafting and have to be part of the prenuptial agreement, and certain things that can't be part of a prenuptial agreement, such as custody of children. You can't prenup that. But it would cause a lot less litigation. And I can't tell you how many times, people in my office every day of my life saying, whoa, wait a minute, that's the law? Wait, I have to give him or her that? Wait, what? No, and I'm like, yeah, this is the stuff they don't tell you when you're walking down the aisle.
Right, exactly, when you're getting married.
Correct.
Okay, so I have another question. A lot of people feel, getting back to the whole house thing, if they move out and they serve their, spouse divorce papers, if they move out, that they've abandoned their home and they give up their rights to the home. Is that the case?
No. And again, I can't speak for the law of other states, but no, not
Here
here.
in Florida.
No. And I always tell people that because that's another common question I get. How do I get my spouse out? And if I leave voluntarily because we're fighting and things are awkward, or I just don't want to be around them, or I don't want the children to see the conflict, whatever the reason may be. Can I leave if I do? Am I abandoning the home? And the answer is no. I mean, you have to do what you have to do. Actually, it's probably better sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes a lot of times I advise people absolutely move out, go stay on someone's couch, get away, cool off, or even just find a place to live. Because it's better for the family, it's better for the children. Yeah, and no, you're not waiving your right to the home if you are entitled to it, or something else that you would otherwise be entitled to.
There's you hear about a lot of people fighting nowadays, and I don't know if it's
it's not nowadays, it's always.
I think
probably.
with the economy, though, with the way it is, and
It's tense.
so I mean, there's abuse out there. What kind of attorney if there's abuse out there, do you get
Domestic violence, you handle that as well.
Domestic violence,
yes.
or you do? You also handle that too.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. We call it, the common terminology is a restraining order. The petition that's filed is called a petition for protection a petition for injunction for protection against domestic violence. And basically what you're asking the court to do is to enter a court order, an injunction, preventing the other party from being within, I think it's 500 feet of you, your home, your place of work. Again, if it's an issue regarding children or abuse to children or potential physical harm to children, you can file on behalf of the minor children. You have to name them in the petition, and and that happens. They can file that at the courthouse, and then they will sometimes grant it on a temporary basis and set a hearing a couple weeks later to come back and have everybody testify whether or not it needs to be kept in place. But
Right, so this is definitely a family issue as well.
Is it a criminal attorney or
it's kind of neither. I mean, it's a civil restraining order, but it's sort of its own division. And then what they do, we have something called unified family court. So usually when there's a divorce case pending, or if one is about to be filed and there's a domestic violence case, they'll actually assign the same judge to preside over both matters, but they get separate case numbers and they're technically separate matters.
So I would think it's more of a family matter because it's usually within the family.
Yeah.
Do juries ever get involved, or is it always the judge that makes a decision?
Always the judge that makes a decision.
Okay.
There's not a jury for
Florida.
a divorce.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sure they got all my
I went
ones
before the
correct.
magistrate.
Yeah. So you've got one person, who's the trier of fact, whether it's the judge or sometimes there's a magistrate making the decisions, and it's up to family law is very discretionary. So sometimes I tell people, remember when we go, it's not necessarily always the best thing to have your day in court. Everybody thinks, oh, the judge is going to get it and see, and it's the judge is a human being just like you, and they're not supposed to be biased, and they're supposed to be objective, and they are, and they do their best. But every judge is, again, just a human being like the rest of us, and we're all affected by our personal history, experiences,
Unfortunately,
things like
right.
that. And so you can't get in a judge's head. And so I always tell people, really, the judge is as great as the judges are that we have, in this area, it's really the last thing you want to do. It should be a last resort.
How is child support calculated?
Child support is based on a formula. There's a calculation based on, we start with looking at both parties' net incomes. So net incomes after taxes and one or two other deductions that the statute allows, and then we also, there's a couple other factors that go into the equation. Like I said earlier, the number of overnights of time sharing that each party has with the children, the number of children, and there's an equation, there's a formula, and it's really based on the concept that both parties are responsible for the support of the
Combined
children.
income, and then they calculate it based on that.
Yeah.
Okay, give everybody your phone number before we go off the air.
Sure, it's 561-544-6861.
And tell them where your office is located.
My office is located, as of today, just moved over the weekend, on the corner of Yamato and Dixie in Boca. It's 301 Yamato Road in Boca Raton, East Boca
Perfect.
Raton.
Wow, you know what? I think that's the building that attorney we met with one time.
That's a beautiful-
divorce or
Uh-oh.
No, it's a beautiful building.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is Stonegate Bank Building.
Yes,
yeah.
it's a beautiful building, yeah.
You know, I wanted to ask you today, because you see all this on TV, online divorces. And you know what? A friend of mine...
I don't even know what that is.
I've never heard of it, Tina.
they can file online. And a friend of mine...
If it looks too good to be true, then it is.
So we've been talking for the last 30 minutes. We have got the finest family attorney in South Florida, Tina Lewert. One more time, give me your phone number.
Sure, 561-544-6861.
And you can go to your website and watch today's show.
Just www.lewertlaw.com, Lewert law.com.
A lot of good information today. Hey, we'll see you next week. Everybody have a wonderful week. Peace and love.
We're out.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show with Steve-O and Renee. Tune in every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. while some of the top local experts in their field from Broward and Palm Beach counties educate you in the areas of law, health, financial, and home improvement. You can also call our offices at 888-574-6999 to become an expert on our show. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station.